Good morning, television neighbor. It's Tuesday, the 26th day of October 2021. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 1 week before Election Day. Just a heads up on that. Turnout is pretty good. I checked the local auditors' websites this morning. You can see how many ballots have been returned so far. Quite a bit. A lot of people voted, I think, over the weekend. I think they took the time to sit down at the kitchen table and talk about the issues and the candidates and voted. It is up compared to the last off-year election of 2019. Lots to touch on today. It's chilly. It's 41 degrees. We're in for some more unsettled weather. Complete forecast details coming up. There is a lot of weather to talk about. There's a lot of news to get to. In sports, Seahawks. But there's good news. The World Series begins tonight. We'd like that. We'll talk about sports. Also, my conversation with Sean Zeers, the interim broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. He's filling in for Art Checker, who is recovering, but the show must go on. People want to follow the Wenatchee Wild. Sean calls the games remotely from his home in Illinois, but he knows his hockey, and to prove it, he'll be talking about Wenatchee Wild hockey with me via Skype in the back half of the program, plus an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, some celebrity birthdays today in history, and the obscure holiday. It is about 90 seconds into the program. Let's begin our tour around the valley with our PTZ cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless. Once again, the cross camera looks pretty much like it did yesterday at this time. Now, we have a lot more clouds than we had yesterday at this time. It's 41 degrees. We hit 55 on Monday, which is exactly normal for this time of the year, 55. Our overnight low was 40, normally at 37. So temperature-wise, it was a pretty normal day, but it's not going to be a normal week this week. We got some pretty interesting things to show you from Mother Nature's department. Sunrise this morning, still a ways away, 7:36. Sunset tonight, 5:53. 10 hours and 17 minutes of daylight, losing about 2.5 minutes of daylight a day. Where are we off to? Camera number 2, I don't know. Uriah picks, I have to guess. Well, that's got to be Stayman Flats. Confirmation from Uriah, that is, in fact, Stayman Flats. Looks to be quite a bit of traffic on the Douglas County side of the highway. You can see the headlights there, people getting to where they need to go. This is, of course, the cameras on the Chelan County side of the river, right before you have to make your decision on your way to Lake Chelan. If you drive on the Chelan County side of the river, 97A, do you go through the Knaps Hill Tunnel and pop yourself into Chelan that way, or do you take Navarre Coulee and dump yourself off at the state park? That's where Stayman Flats is. That's where that camera is, looking back towards the valley proper. Camera number 3. Ooh, speaking of Lake Chelan, there she is in all of her glory, full of H2O from the top of McNeil Canyon. A spectacular view there. Super tall camera there. The tower is about 275 feet tall, and then the camera's on top of that. That's why we get that panoramic view of Lake Chelan. You can just quite not see the butte to the left, but you can see the rest of Lake Chelan, or what you can anyway, from McNeil Canyon. That's still a fantastic view there. Camera 4. Waterville. Yes, there's Waterville. That little tinkly little lights there on the left-hand side of your screen is downtown Waterville, and suburban Waterville, for that matter, from our Waterville camera. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that view, Uriah. I'm glad you picked that one out. There are a lot of cameras to choose from. There's about 65 of them or so to choose from, and I'm glad he picked Waterville this morning. Hello, Waterville. How you doing? Always good to see you folks. 4 minutes after the hour, we have a satellite image from the National Weather Service to let you know what's going on. Basically, the jet stream is going to come right at us. If you look at your screen there, it looks like the jet stream is pointed towards central Oregon coast. But what's happening, there'll be high pressure below it and low pressure above it, and it's going to shove the jet stream right in to the Pacific Northwest, which is why we're going to have rainy weather today for the most part, and tomorrow, wind. The jet stream is out of position. It's usually up above British Columbia area, so get ready for some gusty winds overnight tonight into Wednesday, especially in that area that you see in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. We're going to have some windy conditions in the Wenatchee Valley tonight into Wednesday. Not so bad. Most of the wind will be relegated to tomorrow, but in the Waterville Plateau and up in Chelan areas, you can see up in unincorporated Douglas County, they're going to have a lot of wind, again, because the jet stream is out of alignment. So Wenatchee, breezy to slightly windy, but considerably windier conditions on the Waterville Plateau. Most of this wind will be overnight tonight into Wednesday for the Wenatchee Valley, most of it Wednesday, but it's going to be pretty breezy to the north and to the east of us. Heads up on that. Get ready for some wind and the possibility of some rock and some mudslides. Now, of course, the soil is pretty unstable. It's saturated with quite a bit of rain that we got over the weekend, and with more rain in the forecast today, tonight, and Wednesday night into Thursday, especially Thursday, some serious rain coming. We could see some rock and mudslides in some locations. Of course, we're talking about burn scars as well, where there's no vegetation to hold the soil to the planet, and down can come the rocks and the mud. There were a number of rocks on the roadway on 97A near the Knaps Hill Tunnel during our most recent rain event. So be forewarned, we could see some rock and mudslides possible if you live in those areas that are prone to that. That's what happens when you get a lot of rain after a long period of no rain, which is exactly what we've had here in our forecast area. Okay, from the National Weather Service, here we go. Rain today, mostly between noon and 4 during the daylight hours. We'll get up to about 54 degrees, pretty close to what we had yesterday. So widespread rain between noon and 4. Then we have a brief drying out period. And then about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, the rain will come back. And it'll rain in the overnight hours and the clouds associated with the rain, 41 for the overnight low. You'll also notice a little bit of breeze starting to kick up tonight. And Wednesday, we'll have sunshine for the most part, with a slight chance of a little bit of light rain here and there. Story tomorrow is going to be the breeze. We're going to see some breezy conditions on Wednesday. In the Wenatchee Valley, we could see gusts in the 20-mile-an-hour range, but as you saw earlier, Waterville and Chelan, you could see gusts much stronger than that as the jet stream begins to roll through. More rain on Wednesday night, maybe a quarter of an inch of rain. Again, we're talking about the possibility of mudslides and rock slides. Thursday, rain pretty much all day before we dry out a little bit. We catch a break on Friday with a high of about 59. Lots of sunshine, very cool temperatures. Look at the overnight lows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday down near the freezing mark, with snow possible in the mountain passes, especially the higher passes. Stevens, I'm looking at you Thursday night into Friday with those cold temperatures, and maybe even a little bit of snow Friday night on Stevens Pass. And by the way, we'll start doing our regular pass reports come Monday, November 1st, but for Halloween, Sunday, looks pretty good for you ghosts and goblins to go knock on strangers' doors and get candy. Or you can go downtown. We'll talk about that tomorrow with Linda Haglund. 8 minutes after the hour, 1 minute break, and then your news. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
Kids are resilient. I just love their energy. They bounce back so quickly. I love the stories they tell. I love just their charisma, their character. I love to see that subtle smile that you pull out of a kid, you know, when you start talking with them about something they really like. I just love what I do, and I can't imagine I would be as happy doing anything else.
Tipsy Canyon Winery has become the place to go for fine wine and unbelievable views of the Chelan Valley. And now there's even more to enjoy. A new bandstand hosts live music every Thursday night during the spring and summer. The oversized fire pit's a favorite gathering place in the fall and winter. Tipsy Canyon has become a year-round destination for wine lovers. And while things have changed, what remains the same is that at-home feel provided by Mark, Tammy, and Lexi Garland. Stay for the moment that becomes the memory at Tipsy Canyon.
Considerable cloudiness, 41 degrees. We'll see rain later on today, rain tonight. We dry out on Wednesday. The rain returns Wednesday night, and starting Wednesday night and going all the way through Friday morning. More rain for north central Washington. We begin with this story. A 27-year-old Moses Lake man was shot and killed on Sunday morning, and his 48-year-old neighbor arrested. The Grant County Sheriff's Office said at about 8:15 on Sunday, deputies and Moses Lake Police responded to a report of gunfire at a residence on Arlington Drive in the Larsing housing area. They reported finding Daniel D. Surface in the back porch of the residence at 1106 Arlington Drive. Now, the Sheriff's Office said the man was transported to Samaritan Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Witnesses reported that the victim had been arguing with David R. Hager when Hager pulled a gun and fired several times at his neighbor. Hager allegedly then went to his nearby residence and returned with a knife and stabbed the victim. Deputies were able to arrest Hager without incident at his home. A Wenatchee woman was arrested last week for allegedly striking a 74-year-old man on foot with her car. This happened in the parking lot at Walmart. Police say 35-year-old Kelly D. Gleason was waiting for another car to vacate a parking space on Friday when the driver of a nearby truck backed into her vehicle. The driver got out of his truck to speak with Gleason, and when he walked back in front of her car, she allegedly lurched the vehicle forward and knocked him to the ground. Gleason was jailed over the weekend, faces a possible charge of vehicular assault. Chelan County Commissioners holding workshops are trying to finalize their 2022 budget. Rising costs and falling interest rates are likely to mean about $3 million more in spending, plus a dip into the county's reserve funds to plug a gap of over $1 million. The 2022 budget expected to total just over $50 million. Last year's budget was $47.3 million. New costs include the creation of a position of supervising the county's new regulations on short-term rentals. Commissioners will continue their budget deliberations until the middle of December. The former executive director of the Women's Resource Center in North Central Washington has been named the interim director of the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. Laurel Turner will replace the former museum director, Kenny Sturgeon, after being with the museum since 2018. Sturgeon will begin work with the Association of Children's Museums in November. Turner headed the Women's Resource Center from 2014 until April of this year. Laurel Turner and her husband Rory have been living in the Wenatchee Valley since 1995. The museum said it is likely to take up to 6 months to hire a permanent director. One of the most active local groups in the last couple of election cycles has been NCW Young Voters. They organize online forums for local candidates to talk about the issues. We'll be presenting segments from their forums on Wenatchee Valley School Board races all this week. First up, Wenatchee School District Board Position 2 with incumbent Maria Iniguez and challenger Matt Van Bogart.
Our next question is from Claudia, and she asks, critical race theory is being discussed in school board races across the nation, but the overwhelming majority of educators say CRT is not part of a K-12 education. If you are concerned about CRT in our local schools, in what instances have you seen CRT present in our local K-12 classrooms? If you are not concerned about CRT in our local schools, what evidence do you cite that it is either not present or not of major concern?
There's legislation that's being pushed down through OSPI that drives training for staff, school board members, as well as educators across Washington State. Wenatchee School District had their training last week in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when you look at that legislation, in the very first paragraph, the intent of the legislation is to remedy what it calls systemic racism within our schools in Washington State. I don't believe that there is a systemic racism problem within our schools within Washington State. Certainly, racism exists within our community, and it should be addressed in every instance possible. But when you call something like schools and school districts systemically racist, what that means is that every intent of every person within a school district is racist, and I just fail to see that exists across our state, and certainly not in our community.
There is no evidence that critical race theory is in our district, in our schools. I think there is obviously a very big misconception that House Bill 5044 specifically states DEI training, not CRT training or CRT curriculum. So I wonder if there's a misunderstanding that this House bill is viewed as CRT. I've responded to this comment before, and I will do it again, because as a person of color, to say that systemic racism doesn't exist in our schools, or let alone in our town, it's a very naive comment to make. We have had the opportunities, we as in the board, some board members and the superintendent have had the opportunity to talk to a lot of our students of color here in the district. And the stories that you will hear are heartbreaking, are extremely heartbreaking. And so, hopefully the rest of our board could get that perspective from our students that we are currently serving.
The local Women's Resource Center has opened its latest housing complex. It's going to provide shelter and support services for up to 20 people currently without homes. Miller Park Apartments already has its first 16 tenants, and the WRC says it anticipates the complex will be fully occupied by Thanksgiving. Miller Park works with tenants who have been homeless for 12 months or more and who are living with diagnosed mental or physical disabilities. All receive regular counseling and case management. The agency hopes to hold a public open house to celebrate the complex sometime in the near future. And finally, this is a really cool story. Friends, fellow veterans, and even members of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Club joined forces on Sunday to say happy birthday to a local World War II veteran. Lucine Ott of East Wenatchee will turn 100 years old on Thursday. His well-wishers held a car parade passing by his home on 4th Street with members of the Wenatchee Wild hockey team joining in. Mr. Ott was an airplane mechanic in the U.S. Army Air Corps from 1942 to 1945, keeping Allied planes up and flying. He's lived in the Wenatchee Valley ever since. Happy 100. That's cool. Day after tomorrow, hitting the big triple digits. Happy birthday from everybody here at the NCW Life Channel. That's headlines at 16 minutes after the hour. Grant and Cal and Jefferson and everybody else who combines forces to put together a newscast for you will do exactly that at 5, 6, and 10. And with a preview, here's Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, more rain in the forecast today and then again later this week. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has a look at tonight's prep sports schedule as well as tonight's Game 1 of the World Series. That and all the day's news stories coming up at 5, 6, and 10 tonight on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. And don't forget, if you have a news tip or you want to drop us a note and say hi, look at the bottom of your screen. That's how you go about doing it. Our Facebook page, our website, or our email address, news@ncwlife.com. A quick 1-minute break. When we come back, highlights from the Seahawks and the Saints? No, there weren't any. And besides the NFL charges for highlights, I kid you not. We'll talk Seahawks football because we have to in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel.
At Wenatchee Power Sports, we proudly offer the Polaris product line. Polaris builds the highest quality side-by-side in the industry, with off-road capability that's second to none. The Polaris pre-order program allows customers to purchase the vehicle they want without having to select from limited dealer inventory. The Wenatchee Valley has year-round access to some of the best ORV trails in the Northwest. Start your adventure here at Wenatchee Power Sports.
For more than 56 years, Crown Furniture and Mattress has been serving North Central Washington with the same principles we were founded on, offering the best quality, great value, incredible comfort, honesty, integrity, and of course, made in the USA. Because so much of our inventory is made in America, it has alleviated a lot of the shortages companies are experiencing nationwide. We are overstocked and ready to deliver. So stop by and see us today or visit us online at www.crownfurnitureandmattress.com.
Just about 19 minutes after the hour, a kicker who signed with New Orleans just a week ago, playing his very first game in the National Football League, kicked the game winner. As time was running low, and the final was the New Orleans Saints 13 and the Seattle Seahawks 10 on Monday Night Football. Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith was sacked twice on their last chance drive. The loss is Seattle's third in a row. It's the first time in a decade that the Seahawks have lost 3 games in a row. Coach Pete Carroll says it's all about finishing the game and being smart.
Well, we've come in here a number of times here and really had very similar results in that we're not getting the game when we have a chance to get the football game that's out there for us. And it's really difficult because we're so close to winning games, and we haven't been able to do it at home for sure, which is a real shock to me. I'm shocked that we're not able to do that. But we're still trying to get these games finished properly, and that means you don't make the mistakes that give them a chance. You kick the ball, you don't make the penalty, and you don't You don't eat the football for losses when you're in the right positions and stuff. So there's things that we can really fix, and we're just it may not look like it from the outside, but from the inside it feels like it's really close. And so we're going to keep hanging and keep battling. So really good play by our defense tonight, throughout the night, and then we have this sequence that before the half that it was a shame. It was a shame that we gave them that. It didn't have to happen, and there was a couple things we needed to do and didn't get done. I mean, everybody could see it, cover the running back. And unfortunately, our guys are hanging together, and they're talking right, and they're looking at each other in the eye, and they want to keep battling and make this thing come together. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
Smith connected with DK Metcalf on an 84-yard touchdown strike. That was in the first quarter. That gave the Seahawks an early lead. The Saints took a 10-7 lead into the half. That's when Jameis Winston hit Alvin Kamara on a 13-yard touchdown pass with 40 seconds left in the second quarter. The Seahawks are now 2-5. They'll try and get back on the winning track on Sunday. They might do it. They got 1-5 Jacksonville coming to town at Lumen Field. The Seattle Kraken back on the ice tonight after losing their home opener over the weekend to Vancouver. Seattle will try for their second win of the inaugural NHL season. The Canadiens coming to town. Both the Kraken and the Canadiens will have just one win on the season. They drop the puck at 7 o'clock on Root Sports Northwest. The Wenatchee Wild are off until Friday in British Columbia Hockey League play. That's when they'll be in Salmon Arm to take on the Silverbacks at 7 o'clock. The Wild are winless in 4 games so far this season. The radio voice of the Wild, Sean Ziers, says they're really close, but not quite there yet.
Basically getting on top early and controlling the game. I think when they did that against Trail, and they held the lead for a while, it was just these stretches where they just lose everything in about a 3 or 4 minute stretch. But I think that's the only thing that's really, lacking. Now, Chris will say this over and over again. These guys are still trying to gel. I mean, they're still trying to find their way. You still have line combinations that are getting mixed up here in a little bit. And again, you had another goalie in Tyler Shea, who made his debut during the showcase. And really, he looked really good. It's unfortunately a lot of point-blank shots that, well, some go in, some don't.
After taking on Salmon Arm on Friday, there'll be a Trail on Saturday. Their first home games, by the way, at the Town Theater Center coming up on the 11th and 12th of November. And, of course, in the second half of this program, my entire conversation with Sean Ziers will air right here. I'll wake up in Wenatchee Valley. Volleyball, to the Les Schwab scoreboard we go from last night. Ephrata edged Sela 3-2. Pateras knocked off Wilson Creek 3-1, and Waterville Mansfield took 5 sets, but they eventually got the better of Aniat 3-2. Coming up tonight, Chelan travels to Quincy. Omak will host Waterville Mansfield. Brewster visits Lake Roosevelt. Okanagan will host Manson. All those matches are at 6:30. At 7, you got Eastmont at West Valley, Wenatchee at Moses Lake, and Ephrata will host Prosser. We got girls soccer tonight. The Cashmere Bulldogs and the Cascade Kodiaks at the soccer field in Cashmere. Sebastian Moraga, John Springer would have the call. The game starts at 6 o'clock. We'll start airing it at 6:30 after our evening news. The rest of the prep soccer schedule gets underway at 4:30. Liberty Bell will host Lake Roosevelt. Brewster travels to Omak. Chelan kicks off at Quincy at 6. 2 big matches in the Valley. With Big 9 standings in the balance, Eastmont will host West Valley, and Wenatchee will entertain Moses Lake. Those start at 7 o'clock. And while we're talking about the schedule, let's take a sneak peek of what we got planned for you. After soccer tonight, we'll have volleyball on Thursday. The Panthers and the Pirates. Eric will have the call with the pregame starting at 6:45 on Friday. It's Eric and Grant at Wildcat Stadium in East Wenatchee. It is the Wildcats and the Davis Pirates in Big 9 football. The pregame Friday at 6:30 right here on your local TV station, the NCW Life Channel. And finally, the 117th edition of the World Series gets underway tonight. Game 1, Minute Maid Park. It's the Astros and the Braves, 5:09 on Fox. Framber Valdez, Charlie Morton will toe the rubber. Game 2 tomorrow in Houston. The series will shift to Atlanta on Friday. Guess what I'll be doing at 5:09 tonight? And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Tuesday, the 26th day of October. The obscure holiday, it is National Pumpkin Day. Of course, we associate pumpkins with Halloween, jack-o'-lanterns. A pumpkin is a pumpkin until we carve it up and make a face into it, and then I guess it becomes a jack-o'-lantern. They harvest them in October, so it seems copacetic that the two would go hand in hand. Pumpkins are native to North Americans. It was introduced to the rest of the world by Christopher Columbus. They believe when Columbus went back to the old world, he brought pumpkin seeds with him. Pumpkins were, for a long, long time, the wintertime staple of the Native Americans. They would harvest all kinds of squashes. Pumpkin is a squash. They would harvest pumpkins and squashes and all that stuff in the autumn, and then they would store over the wintertime. They store quite well. And they're also very nutritious. Pumpkins contain lots of vitamin A and lots of potassium. Pumpkins are also 90% water. Pumpkins, yeah, I like them. Pumpkin pie, I really like. I miss Grandma's pumpkin pie, I really do. It just isn't the same. Happy National Pumpkin Day, apropos, wouldn't you say? 25 minutes after the hour. Today in history, this was the game changer for New York City. The Erie Canal opened on this date, October 26, 1825, and that meant commercial shipping could connect the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Great Lakes. The Erie Canal, right through upstate New York, dumped off in Buffalo, and that meant you could ship stuff all the way from anywhere in the world through the port of New York all the way to Chicago. And that made, in a very short period of time, New York City, without question, became the wealthiest, largest, and most important city in the United States, a title it still holds today, and the Erie Canal played the critical role in that. It opened 196 years ago today. Did you know that Norway and Sweden were actually one country? That's their flag. Yeah, the flag of Norway and Sweden. They got divorced on this date, October 26, 1905, 116 years ago today. Norway had already initiated divorce proceedings, and King Oscar of Sweden said, okay, let's break up. They broke up. They're still friends. They call each other every once in a while. How you doing? How are the kids? Norway and Sweden, there's the combined flag. They're now separate countries, and they became separate countries on this date 116 years ago today. October 26, 1960, 61 years ago today, after 57 years of having just 16 teams, that's it, 8 in the American League, 8 in the National League, expansion finally comes to Major League Baseball with the announcement that the Washington Senators would be moving to the Twin Cities to become the Minnesota Twins. A new Washington Senators team will begin play in 1961, and the addition of the Los Angeles Angels. So the American League went from 8 teams to 10 teams. They would begin play in 1961. It took long enough, but expansion finally comes to Major League Baseball after 57 years. Happened on this date in 1960. The Beatles got their MBEs, members of the British Empire. Queen Elizabeth II gave them their medals. The investment ceremony held at Buckingham Palace on October 26, 1965. This is very controversial in England because members of the British Empire, MBEs, are like war heroes, and they didn't like having a long-haired, pot-smoking rock and roll group get MBEs. For the record, according to John Lennon, the Beatles were so nervous before the ceremony they snuck into a bathroom at Buckingham Palace and smoked a joint. So goes the legend, 56 years ago today. The 1985 World Series was a classic. Game 6 of the 1985 World Series was held on this date at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. The Royals beating the St. Louis Cardinals in Game 6 to force a Game 7. And it all boiled down to this controversial call by first base umpire Don Denneker.
Little squibber to the right side. Worrell races over to cover. The throw doesn't get him. Worrell got to the bag, and an argument here, and here comes Herzog amongst the other quartet. First base umpire is Denkinger, American League.
Well, this is spring training all over again. Any ball to the right side, you get there as quick as you can. I think he tries to go for the ball. His argument is he gets the side of the bag. Looks like he's out.
From that angle, let's take a look from this one.
Again, Clark with the toss.
Oh, yes.
Right on top of the bag.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Don Denneker was he had a lot of death threats from St. Louis Cardinals fans after that game and after the World Series. The Royals went on to win Game 6 2-1 by scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the ninth inning on an inning that kept going because of Don Denneker's call. But there was a lot of things that happened in that ninth inning, not just that call. Of course, the Royals would go on to win their first World Championship the next night. This is the 25th anniversary of one of the great nights in my life. Saturday night, October 26, 1996, I'm a Yankee. You know I'm a Yankee. After 18 years of not winning the World Series, the Yankees returned to the top with their Game 6 victory over the Atlanta Braves. Let's take a look.
Another chance to the left side. Hayes waits. The Yankees are champions of baseball.
"25 years ago today, for the record, I was with my good friends Big Al Blackman and Brandon Hobson at our family cabin at Lake Wenatchee. We watched the game, and after the final out, Brandon and Al poured beer over my head. The stains are probably still on the carpet. What a great night for me. And finally, what an unbelievable baseball game. 7 hours and 20 minutes, 18 innings long. The Dodgers win Game 3 of the 2018 World Series, 3-2 over the Red Sox. Here's how it ended.
Game 4 start, but it ends up being almost a Game 3 start. Muncy flies one in the air to left center. Back at the wall, and it's gone! It's over! Muncy, a walk-off home run to win Game 3 in the 18th. Night.
The bottom of the 18th, 7 hours and 20 minutes of nerve-wracking baseball. Happened 3 years ago today. Let's do birthdays. Happy 76th birthday to Jacqueline Smith, one of Charlie's Angels. She was, I thought, the prettiest one. In 1979, McCall's magazine ran a poll. The question was, whose face most women would like to have? Coming in at number 1, Jacqueline Smith. She's looking good at 76. Hillary Clinton, the 67th Secretary of State and former First Lady and former presidential candidate, is 74 years old today. Hillary Clinton is. Keith Urban from New Zealand, lives in Australia. 18 number 1 hits on the Billboard country charts. Keith Urban, 54 years old today. And happy birthday to Abu Drame Bamba. Abu Drame Bamba plays football for the Ivory Coast. He's 34. He's my favorite soccer player from the Ivory Coast. 33 minutes after the hour, an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and then we're talking Wild hockey like we do once a week with Sean Ziers, the radio voice of the Wenatchee Wild. They got a good team. They just need to bust through and get that first victory. They've come close in 3 of their 4 losses this year. Sean will get you the hockey talk that you need on this Tuesday morning when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family.
You don't have to be a member to enjoy the view and dine in style at Highlander Bar and Grill, located in East Wenatchee. Highlander Golf Course has added 2 state-of-the-art full swing simulators. Food and drink service is available from our full-service bar and grill, offering breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Indoor and outdoor seating available. Call Shalane, our on-site coordinator, to schedule your special event.
Our experience with NCW Life has been amazing.
People think television and they think it's this huge production thing. It's really expensive.
It's crazy how affordable it is. I couldn't believe it.
It's not as expensive as we thought it was going to be.
I would say I was really surprised to see that it was actually comparable to radio ads or print media.
It was really affordable.
Counterplay inside, picking his way back to the 10, to the 5. High school sports is back, and NCW Life Channel's got you covered. Tune in for football, girls soccer, and volleyball right here. Thanks to our sponsors, Harvest Valley Pest Control, Rivercom 911, and Sangster Motors. Follow all the action of high school sports on your local TV station, the NCW Life Channel. 14, they come back.
Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, there's a lot of complaining lately about the public schools teaching things like what they're teaching, you know? People are up in arms about things like critical race theory and sex education. And, you know, my kids went to public school, and I'll tell you, I didn't care what they taught because my kids came home and they talked to me and Rosie about stuff. Now, I figured that it was our job as parents to establish a trusting relationship with our kids so they'd listen to us and trust our input when it came to forming their own values. Now, my relationship with my kids wasn't a greater influence on them than what they heard in school, then that was my fault. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
The Clearwater Saloon and Casino is the perfect place to meet in East Wenatchee. The Old West theme takes you back in time with casino gambling and poker tables. And now you can play the best games on or off the tables. Stop by and check out the new game room. All your favorite games and extended late night hours makes the Clearwater your best bet for a great time. And if time slips away having so much fun, stay the night next door at the Cedars Inn. It's all here nightly at the Clearwater Saloon and Casino in East Wenatchee.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellington here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCW Life and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
Hello, my name is Brian Brett, the Fire Chief for Chelan County Fire District 1, and I just wanted to talk about how amazing our Rivercom team is. They are intentional, purposeful, and skillful in everything they do, and they are the best at what they do. How they prepare, how they handle the caller, how they coordinate the emergency services, and how they push themselves to be the best. This is the kind of spirit that our Rivercom telecommunicators have. Our community needs you, we need you, we admire you, you're our lifeline.
Saturday, December 4th, RLS Productions presents the West Coast Best Bon Jovi and Journey tribute bands at the Wenatchee Convention Center. Non Jovi will bring back the stadium rock of the 80s, and the Infinity Project celebrates Journey, one of rock and roll's greatest hitmakers. Guests may enjoy an exquisite dinner before the concert or just the concert. Dinner and concert tickets are available at rlstickets.com. That's rlstickets.com.
Winter is a great time to trade in your current hot tub. Turn your old hot tub into money with Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa's trade-in program. You can save $500 to $1,000 off of any new Artesian spa or take advantage of a free Bluetooth music experience. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa recommends draining your hot tub every 3 months. Ask us about our drain and refill special. Stop on by Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa today.
When I was about 16, I got in a relationship. He hit me for the first time in front of his daughter. He physically abused me in front of my children. I couldn't do it no more. Sage was there for me when I needed them. I didn't hear a lecture from them. I didn't hear anything, but just acceptance. And that's what I needed at the time. And they help you with everything that you need to move on in life and heal.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. It's time for our weekly check-in with Sean Ziers, the interim broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. There is hope, folks. I know they went to overtime and lost. Just one blowout during the BCHL showcase, and then another overtime and another loss. We're right there, Sean. We just can't seem to get that final little oomph to get us in the win column.
I know, and it's so frustrating to watch it because those players are putting their heart and soul into everything, and they're coming so close to getting that victory. It's just unfortunately one bad period in the first game, and that was against Prince George. And I mean, they were basically down 1-0 halfway almost through that third period, but then the wheels fell off and they gave up 3 goals in about less than 4 minutes, and that was pretty much it. In that game. And the other game that they against Powell, Powell River, it literally, I mean, again, they had a lead and they ended up losing it. And, it goes into a shootout this time instead of a regular overtime. And you could tell those guys were gassed at the end. I really do think, though, that this is a special team. And I think they're going to do really good things. They just have to basically get over that hump and get that first win. And I think everything else will fall into place.
You mentioned the Prince George game kind of got out of hand. That's the only real, to me, loss of the year. They were with Penticton, they were with Trail, and obviously they were right at the very edge of knocking off Powell River when they went to the shootout. What is the one thing that is missing from this Wild team that maybe could have turned at least 2 of those games into victories?
I think just getting on top and really basically getting on top early. And controlling the game. I think when they did that against Trail and they held the lead for a while, it was just these stretches where they just lose everything in about a 3 or 4 minute stretch. But I think that's the only thing that's really, I think, lacking. Now, Chris will say this over and over again. These guys are still trying to gel. I mean, they're still trying to find their way. You still have line combinations that are getting mixed up here in a little bit. And again, you had another goalie in Tyler Shea who made his debut during the showcase. And really, he looked really good. It's unfortunately a lot of point-blank shots that, well, some go in, some don't. So, I mean, it's just that I think that getting that drive and just holding the lead and not having the wherewithal of going, okay, well, we got a lead, we're going to end up losing it. That's not what they want to do, and I know that's not what they want to do, and unfortunately, it's been happening here lately.
For those of you who don't know, of course, they've lost 2 games in overtime. To the third overtime game that we were just talking about, when they lost to Powell River in a shootout. The rules are when you go to overtime, they go to 3-on-3, and that is really more of a crapshoot as much as anything else. So this team, for you Wild fans out there, they're a lot better than the record indicates, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. In fact, the power play started to finally click here a little bit over the showcase. And it's always great when you get a 3-on-3 because it opens up the ice and you get to see more action. It's more finesse than it is physical. But at the same time, the Wild ended up opening the overtime with a power play having a 4-on-3, and they weren't able to capitalize on that. And again, when you play back-to-back games like they do, when you play 65 minutes, by about 63, the 63rd minute, you're starting to lose a little bit of, it takes everything out of you. And again, it's early. I mean, there's only so much conditioning that one can do before you have to go, okay, this is enough. My body just can't take it anymore. But yeah, this team is much better than the 0-1-3. Yeah, 0-1-3 because they've only played 4 games. Or is it 4? See, it's 4. So I'm everybody else has played like 6 and 7. Yeah, this is a better team than an 0-1-3 team for sure, because they could easily be 3-1.
The BCHL Showcase was just wrapped up in Chilliwack. Is all the teams together. It's more generalized, as Sean mentioned last week. It's for scouts, all of the scouts who want to see what the talent pool is in the BCHL. Heads up, it's deep. From a scouting perspective, put yourself in a scout's shoes. Say you work for an NHL club. Who amongst the Wenatchee Wild players that you saw on the 2 games back-to-back on the 20th and the 21st stood out for you, Sean?
Well, I have to say, and I'm not the only one that's saying this, it's the BCHL that's saying this, and that's Cade Littler. He actually now is on the Central Scouts 2021 or 21-22 list of the NHL watch list. He's on that list. Cade is just an overall end-to-end 100% player. He can forecheck, he can back check, he can score, he can get into the corners. I mean, Cade has just done everything that you've asked. I'm going to go also with the fact that I think Tyler Shea really impressed me. I really do think that he's going to be good. No, nothing against the other 2 goalies, because, I mean, you can always carry the other, you always have more goalies, and it's always good to have them. But Tyler was coming from the North American Hockey League, which is a junior league in the United States. It's comparable to what the BCHL is. And he's proven his own. And like I said, I think, he really impressed me. The other person that's really impressed me are the defensemen, all of them, because they're doing so well. I mean, they're not making too many turnovers. And that's really key, is not causing too many turnovers. I know that Wenatchee has done so well when it comes to causing turnovers in the offensive zone. They're doing a great job of that. And I think once all of those combine together, this team's going to be really good.
And now they get a little chance to rest. They have back-to-back games on Friday and Saturday. They'll be taking on Salmon Arm and then Trail. These back-to-back games can be killers, as you mentioned before. But this gives Clarkie, these guys a good 5 or 6 days of rest and still working without actually, if they go to the third period against Trail on the second of 2 nights, they won't be falling down exhausted, right?
No, that's right. In fact, we had a pregame chat on Wednesday, and that was one of the things I asked him. I said, how weird is it for you not to play hockey on a weekend? Because that's all the games there ever are. And they did have a pregame skate on Saturday. So they had a morning skate on Saturday. They were able to have a few days off. I believe they're back at it either tomorrow or maybe even today. But it was nice for the team to get that weekend off. I think just to refresh a little bit, recharge, get back to doing some normal things at home. Because, again, road games all the way up to the 11th. So, it's going to be great to be home in Wenatchee. It's also great when you have a few days off and you can rest the body, rest any injuries that could take place, because injuries are never disclosed, of course. And you just got to make sure that you are focused mentally, because, again, these guys want to win. Great that they get 3 points, but still, it's great to get a regulation win and not even an overtime win. I mean, overtime win would be great, but regulation wins, they mean more in the standings. And it's important for them to be mentally and physically prepared for the next 2 weekends before they go home.
And they have a couple of long rides, Salmon Arm on Friday and then Trail on Saturday. Salmon Arm and Trail, tough back-to-back, but do you think you see a victory here out of the Salmon Trail team on Friday or Trail on Saturday? Which one do you think might be the best bet for the Wild to break through and get their first W?
Trail, for sure, because they've already faced them twice. And once in the preseason and then once in the regular season. I think they have an idea what they need to do. And I think there's a little redemption, too, with that Trail game because they should have won that game. I easily should have won that game. So I think Trail for sure. It's mentioning, you were mentioning tough rides and stuff like that. I did not realize how far Prince George was until I looked on a map. I was like, wow, you have to travel 8 hours? And Chris is like, yeah, it's a long drive. But I guess there was somewhere else they had to go to that was even further. That was like a halfway stop. And that, I believe, was in another part of British Columbia. And I'm thinking to myself, 16 hours on a bus. You know, that's just, it blows my mind. But you know what? Players are always used to that. So whether it be 8 hours, 2 hours, 5 hours, you know, players just get used to it. It's a creature of habit. When you're on a bus, you find ways to sleep, and you know, buses have become more comfortable, I guess. I know that from experience because I've been on one of these buses where you travel. So they're not as bad as what you think. But I again can't stress enough. Home games aren't going to be so good for them.
Can't wait to see the actual Wild team here in action at the Town Toyota Center. And if there's any good news out of this bizarre opening to the season with their first 8 games in Canada, is that the schedule, and they did have a couple of games that were just flat out canceled. The back end of the schedule is home heavy. When they get towards into December and January, they have a lot of games on home ice.
Oh, they do. And some are 2 games, some are 3-game series, and I like that. I really do think that that's going to benefit them down the road when it gets into January and February, and teams have already played X amount of games, and Wenatchee still has these games in hand. And again, they're home games, and they're not, you know, they don't have to travel as much. And I think that's going to be very beneficial for them. I know for a fact that these guys are starting to gel a little bit, and I know that they're getting a little tired, I'm sure, of going on the road. But you know, unfortunately, that's how the schedule happens, and that's how life happens. Unfortunately, here we were dealing with a pandemic that caused borders to be closed, schedules to be changed, and you know, there's nothing that you can do about it. And now it's just get out there and play some hockey and have some fun in doing it and doing your best. And that's why Chris does a great job instilling that on the players. I'm rooting for him to get his first win as a head coach. He's still looking for that first win as a head coach. He's been an interim coach back in 2019, 2020, before the pandemic hit. Well, he's still looking for that first head coaching win. So I'm rooting for Chris this weekend to get it.
Again, Friday night they're going to be at Salmon Arm at the Shaw Center. Saturday night at the Comico Center to take on Trail. Friday and Saturday, you can listen to the games on their flagship station, 560 KPQ, or on 1340 The Hawk, depending if there's a scheduling conflict. Sean, looking forward to talking to you each and every Monday. And a friendly reminder, and Sean mentioned this before, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We have a lot of hockey to play, don't we?
Oh, yeah, 46 more games from now until March. And it seems like, wow, that's not a lot of time. That's a lot of time. I mean, there's a lot of hockey to be played here, and everybody else has got a lot of hockey to play as well. And again, 16 out of the 18 teams go to the playoffs. So, I mean, the good news is that your chances of going to the playoffs are really good, just depending where you want to be at. So, again, you're right. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And these first 4 games, a little feel-out period. I have a feeling these things are going to teams are going to start to gel, and you're going to start seeing some victories.
Sean Ziers, the interim broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, filling in for the Alien Archecker, who's improving day to day, I'm told. Sean, we'll check in again each and every week. I enjoy listening to the broadcasts, and stay dry in the land of Lincoln, my friend. All right.
Well, I'm going to try. Yeah, it's been a little interesting around here with well, you guys, same thing as well. Yeah. It's bizarre weather. Welcome to 2021, right?
We got a lot of rain here in the Pacific Northwest, but nothing like you got in Illinois. You guys got deluge there, my friend. Sean, always a pleasure. Yes. We'll talk to you in a week.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, forward to it. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Crunch Pack, the #1 supplier of sliced apples and a premier employer in the Wenatchee Valley. We are looking to add new members to our Crunch Pack team. We offer full-time work with great benefits in a safe environment with fantastic people. As a part of the Crunchback family, you'll find a home that's all about helping you thrive and succeed. Come see what Crunchback can do for you. Apply today at 300 Sunset Highway in Cashmere or online at crunchback.com.
You're in Ford Country, land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln, home of the lifetime warranty. That'll sure get you thinking.
Get ready for fall and winter with a new or used truck or SUV from North Central Washington's four-wheel drive headquarters, Pat Armstrong Ford Lincoln, on 3rd Street in East Wenatchee.
Land of Pat Armstrong, Ford Lincoln, you're in Ford Country.
Let's face it, selling your good used vehicle can be a hassle, if nothing else. Consign your vehicle here at Global Elite Motors. When you do, you'll get the best possible price because of our proprietary selling system. We offer the ability to finance, add warranties, take trade-ins, and much, much more. Each consignment vehicle we represent is thoroughly inspected and marketed to attract qualified buyers. Let us help sell your quality vehicle. Buying a vehicle? Consigning a vehicle? Stop by Global Elite Motors on Wenatchee Avenue at Global Car Care.
Things have changed in the motorsports industry. Short supply and high demand have emptied showrooms. But what hasn't changed are the experts at Doghouse Motorsports. They are here to help you reserve the machine of your choice. Stop by and check out the latest 2022 Husqvarna motorcycles, UBCO, and Intense electric vehicles, and other new additions to the Doghouse Motorsports family of high-quality products.
Over the last year and a half, the industry's absolutely changed, but the Doghouse is still your best option for all your power sports needs.
When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the Diagnostic Doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
Different birds enjoy different types of foods, so it's important to offer all the right things for the birds you want to attract. Sound complicated? It doesn't have to be. Our Flying Start Combo is an all-in-one feeder that attracts all the birds in your backyard, with seed, suet, nuts, and fruit. Stop by our store to find out how you can get started feeding the birds. Wild Birds Unlimited. We bring people and nature together.
Fairly cloudy skies, a couple of light sun breaks, 43 degrees. In downtown Wenatchee, we're in for unsettled weather all week long. We're going to get quite a bit of sunshine and cool temperatures for Halloween weekend, but we got to get there first, and we got a lot of weather to talk about. First things first, watch out for a little bit of wind coming up overnight tonight, and especially on Wednesday in the area that you see there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. What's going on is the jet stream is out of alignment. It's normally up above British Columbia, but combination of a low system above and high pressure below has moved that jet stream right into us. We're in the bullseye. So not only are we going to see some rain today and tonight, we're going to have some windy conditions. Now for the valley, most of that will be on Wednesday. For the Waterville Plateau and the Chelan area and pretty much rural Douglas County, it's going to be windy tonight and Wednesday. And on top of that, with the upcoming rain and the oversaturated soil, there is the issue of maybe some rock and mudslides in those areas that are prone to rocks and mudslides. There's only so much moisture that the earth can handle, and then away it goes, especially in those burn scar areas, and we did have a lot of wildfires this year. All right, real quickly, rain today between noon and 4. We dry out, and then the rain comes back overnight tonight, 54. For our high today, 41 for the overnight low. We catch a break Wednesday, lots of sunshine, but breezy conditions. and a high of 55. Starting Wednesday night and going all the way through Friday morning, rain, and then sunny and cold for the weekend. That's it. Have yourself a great Tuesday. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.